been lied to. They told you work hard and you'll succeed. They told you be a good person and good things will happen. Meanwhile, you're watching people half as talented cruise past you. You're tired of being the smartest person in the room making the least money. I'm about to show you why. And more importantly, I'm about to show you the 7 actual advantages that separate winners from everyone else. This isn't motivation. This is ammunition. Look around. The people crushing it right now, the ones building empires while you're building resumes, they're not smarter than you. They're not working harder than you. They're playing a completely different game with completely different rules. And nobody's showing you the rule book. I'm not talking about hustle culture BS. I'm not talking about waking up at 4 a.m. or cold showers or any of that surface level garbage. I'm talking about the actual structural advantages that create unfair outcomes. The kind of advantages where people look at your success and say, man, they got lucky. Let them think it's luck. You'll know the truth. I'm gonna break down 7 rules that will fundamentally shift how you operate. These aren't hacks. These aren't shortcuts. These are the actual mechanics of how power and success actually work when you stop pretending the world is fair. Let's go. Rule 1, the decisiveness doctrine. Strike when others are still planning. Most people lose before they even start because they're still stuck in analysis paralysis, while the winners already crossed the finish line. Here's what I mean. You've got an idea right now, a business, a project, a move you need to make. And what are you doing? You're researching, you're planning, you're waiting for the right time. You're basically procrastinating with a productivity label on it. Meanwhile, someone with half your talent and half your resources just launched. They're 3 months in, they're learning from real feedback. They're iterating, they're building momentum. And you're still color-coding your Notion board. Speed is a weapon most people don't even know they have. Look at any major company that dominated its space. Amazon didn't wait until they had every product category figured out. They started with books and moved fast. Netflix didn't wait until streaming was perfect. They shipped DVDs and then pivoted before Blockbuster even knew what hit them. The pattern is always the same. Whoever moves first, while everyone else is still thinking about moving, wins the territory. Here's your action item. Whatever you've been planning to do for more than 2 weeks, you're going to start it in the next 48 hours. Not the perfect version. Not the polished version. The version that exists. Because here's the secret. You can fix a bad start. You cannot fix never starting. You make mistakes when you move fast? Good. Fix them faster. The slow person makes one mistake and it haunts them for a year because everyone's watching in slow motion. You make a mistake, correct it, pivot, and win all while they're still filing the paperwork. On mistake number 1, compress your timelines. If you think something takes a month, do it in a week. If you think a decision needs a week, make it today. When you operate at this speed, you break the rhythm of everyone around you. Your competition can't keep up. They can't predict you because you're moving faster than their decision-making process allows. This is how you create your own luck. Luck is just preparation meeting opportunity, but opportunity doesn't wait around for you to feel ready. Rule 2, the information edge. Know what they don't. In a world where everyone has access to Google, the real advantage isn't information, it's intelligence. And there's a massive difference. Information is everywhere. It's noise. Intelligence is the specific insight that changes the game. Here's what I'm talking about. You're in a meeting. Everyone in that room has access to the same data, the same reports, the same metrics, but there's one person in there who knows something nobody else knows. They know the CEO is about to shift priorities. They know which department is getting budget cuts next quarter. They know the real reason the last project failed. That person has power everyone else doesn't have. Now, I'm not telling you to be shady. I'm telling you to be strategic about information acquisition. You need to build what I call an insight network. Not a spy network, an insight network. Here's the difference. In your company, do you actually know the executive assistant? Not just hello in the hallway. Do you know them? Executive assistants see everything. They know what's coming before it's announced. Take them to coffee. Be genuinely interested in their perspective. They'll tell you more than any memo ever will. In your industry, are you in the rooms where things are actually discussed? Not the public conferences, the dinners after, the group chats, the Discord servers where practitioners are being real about what works and what doesn't. In your market, do you know what your competitors are actually worried about? Not their press releases, their real concerns. Join the same communities they're in. Read between the lines of their job postings. If they're hiring for a specific role, they're solving a specific problem. People love to talk. They love to feel important. If you learn to ask great questions and then actually listen, like really listen, with silence that invites them to fill the void, they'll tell you everything. The person who knows more wins the negotiation before it starts. If you know what someone needs versus what they're saying they want, you're not gambling anymore. You're just collecting. Here's your action. This week, have 3 conversations with people who know things you don't. Don't network to take, network to learn. Ask questions. Shut up and listen. Build your intelligence system. Information is common. Intelligence is rare. Be rare. Rule 3, the adaptability advantage. Become whoever the situation needs. You know what's killing your potential right now? Your identity. I'm an introvert, so I don't network. I'm a creative, so I don't do numbers. I'm technical, so I don't do sales. These aren't identities. These are excuses. Wearing a costume. The most successful people I've ever studied have one thing in common. They're shapeshifters. Not fake, not dishonest, adaptive. Water has no shape, but it carves through rock. Be water. If you're pitching to a conservative investor, you become risk-averse and data-driven. If you're pitching to a visionary founder, you become bold and future-focused. This isn't lying. This is speaking the language that resonates with your audience. Look at the most successful leaders in history. They changed parties. They changed strategies. They changed philosophies. Not because they were confused, but because the terrain changed and they evolved with it. You're holding on to labels that are limiting you. I'm not a morning person. Okay, so you're choosing to give up the 3 most productive hours of the day because of an identity you created when you were 16? I'm not good at public speaking. You mean you haven't practiced it enough to be good at it yet? Kill those labels. They're chains. The person with the real advantage is the one who can be whoever they need to be in the moment. Can you sit with executives and talk strategy? Can you sit with entry-level employees and make them feel heard? Can you switch between visionary and executor, depending on what the room needs? If you can only be one thing, you're easy to box in. If you can be anything the situation demands, you're impossible to contain. Here's your homework. Identify one "I'm not a person" statement you tell yourself. This week, prove it wrong. Do the thing you claim you're not. Watch that identity crack. Your personality is not fixed. It's a tool. Learn to use it. Rule 4, the value monopoly. Become irreplaceable. Here's a truth that's gonna sting. Right now, you're probably replaceable. If you quit your job tomorrow, they'd be annoyed for 2 weeks and then they'd replace you. If you disappeared from your friend group, they'd miss you for a month and then fill the gap. If you stopped posting content, your audience would scroll past and forget. As long as you're replaceable, you have zero leverage. And without leverage, you have zero advantage. You need to become what I call a critical dependency, the one piece that can't be swapped out without everything breaking. Now here's where people get this wrong. They think this means being difficult or holding information hostage. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying build a skill set so rare that you're the only person who can solve a specific, painful problem. In every system, there's a bottleneck. There's one point where everything converges. Find that point. Occupy it. Own it in a business. Maybe it's the person who has the relationship with the biggest client. Maybe it's the engineer who actually understands the legacy code base everyone's afraid to touch. Maybe it's the designer who can translate technical concepts into visuals that actually sell. You need to identify, what problem am I solving that, if I stopped solving it, would cause immediate pain? If the answer is nothing specific, you're in a state of emergency. You're a commodity, and commodities get traded, used, and replaced. Here's how you build this. 1. Identify a skill gap that's costing your company or industry real money or time. Not a nice to have, a must have. 2. Become the absolute best at filling that gap. Not good, the best in your immediate ecosystem. 3. Make sure people know you're the solution. Not in an arrogant way. Just make it clear through results that when this problem shows up, you're the answer. When you become the oxygen in the room, you don't have to fight for respect. You don't have to argue for raises. You don't have to play politics. They need you to breathe. But here's the balance. Don't make yourself irreplaceable by being a bottleneck who refuses to help others grow. That makes you valuable short-term and hated long-term. Make yourself irreplaceable by being exceptional at the highest leverage skill. Then help others grow in complementary areas. You want to be the person they can't afford to lose, not the person they can't wait to get rid of. Build skills that are rare. Own relationships that are exclusive. Control knowledge that's scarce. Make yourself necessary. Rule 5. The momentum multiplier. Stack wins end, bigger wins. Success isn't linear, it's exponential. But most people treat it like a straight line. They get a small win, and then nothing. They celebrate, they relax, they wait for the next opportunity to come to them. Wrong game. Winners take a small win and immediately leverage it into the next bigger opportunity. They stack wins on top of wins until they've built something that looks like overnight success to everyone else. Here's how this actually works. You land a client, good. Now you don't just deliver for that client. You over-deliver so hard that they become a case study. Then you use that case study to land 3 more clients at a higher rate. Then you use those 3 clients to get featured in a publication. Then you use that publication feature to speak at an event. Then you use that speaking gig to land a partnership deal. That's not 5 separate wins. That's 1 win leveraged 5 times. Most people stop at step 1. They land the client, do good work, get paid, and then start from zero looking for the next client. The outlier turns every win into a platform for the next win. Think about momentum in physics. An object in motion stays in motion. But you have to keep feeding the momentum. You have to keep building speed. Here's what this looks like practically. Document everything. Every win, every result, every testimonial. That's ammunition for the next pitch. Leverage relationships. When someone's happy with your work, that's the moment to ask for an introduction, not 6 months later. Right then, when the dopamine is fresh, raise your prices after every win. If you just delivered exceptional value, you're worth more tomorrow than you were yesterday. Charge accordingly. Stack visibility. Got mentioned somewhere? Share it. Someone shared your work? Thank them publicly and tag them. Every piece of social proof makes the next piece easier to get. The gap between someone making $50K and someone making $500K isn't that the $500K person is 10 times better. It's that they figured out how to compound their wins. Your homework. Look at your last win. How can you leverage it this week into your next opportunity? Do that. Then keep doing it. Rule 6. The power of straightjack silence. Say less, control more. We live in a world of noise. Everyone's broadcasting. Everyone's announcing their plans. Everyone's sharing their goals on social media before they've accomplished anything. This is why they stay weak. When you talk, you give away power. You reveal your hand. You show your insecurities. You invite opinions you didn't ask for. You trigger resistance before you've even started. The person with the real advantage is the one who moves in silence and lets results speak. Here's what I mean. Imagine a negotiation. One person is talking, explaining their position, justifying their price, filling every silence with more words. The other person is sitting back, watching, nodding occasionally, saying almost nothing. Who's in control? The quiet one. Every time. Why? Because silence makes people uncomfortable. They project their fears into it. They assume you know something they don't. They assume you're unimpressed. So they start bidding against themselves. They start offering more just to break the tension. This works in every context. In negotiations, let them make the first offer. Let them talk themselves into a worse position while you just listen and ask questions. In conflicts, when someone tries to provoke you, don't react immediately. Hold the silence for 3 seconds. Watch them get uncomfortable. Your silence says, "Your words are too small to affect me." In planning, stop announcing your goals before you've achieved them. You know what happens when you tell everyone you're starting a business? You get a dopamine hit from their reactions. Your brain thinks you've already succeeded. You've stolen your own motivation. Build in private. Launch in public. Here's what kills me. People spend more time talking about what they're gonna do than actually doing it. They post the workout plan. They announce the business idea. They share the vision board. Then, 6 months later, nothing. Because they got the validation hit without doing the work. Flip the script. Do the work in silence. Let people be shocked by your results. Let them wonder how you did it. Because they didn't see the process. They just saw the outcome. Mushrooms grow in the dark. Diamonds form under pressure in the dark. Power builds in silence. When you finally do speak, it's with the weight of evidence behind you. You're not promising, you're proving. Be the lightning, not the thunder. Thunder is just noise. Lightning does damage. Here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, stop announcing your plans. Just execute. Watch what happens to your productivity when you're not performing for an audience. Rule 7. The integrity advantage. Your reputation is your compound interest. Here's where I'm gonna flip the script on you. Everything I just told you about speed, information, adaptability, leverage, momentum, and silence, all of that means nothing if you burn your reputation. Your reputation is the only asset that compounds over time without you actively working on it. But it's also the only asset that can be destroyed in seconds. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. The real unfair advantage isn't being ruthless, It's being trustworthy in a world full of flakes. Think about it. How many people actually do what they say they're gonna do? How many people show up on time? How many people deliver quality work without being chased? How many people tell the truth even when it costs them something? Almost nobody. So when you become that person, the one who keeps their word, who shows up, who delivers, who doesn't make excuses, you become rare. And rare is valuable. I'm not talking about being nice. I'm talking about being reliable. There's a difference. Nice is agreeing to everything. Reliable is being honest about what you can deliver and then over-delivering on that promise. Nice is avoiding hard conversations. Reliable is having the hard conversations early, before they become bigger problems. Nice gets walked over. Reliable gets respect. Here's how this plays out in real terms. Every time you keep a promise, you're making a deposit in your reputation bank. People remember. They talk. They refer. Every time you break a promise, you're making a withdrawal. And unlike a bank account, you don't see the balance. You just wake up one day and realize nobody trusts you anymore. The fastest way to kill your career isn't being bad at your job. It's being unreliable, because skills can be taught. Character can't. You know what the most successful people I know have in common? They return calls. They show up on time. They do what they said they'd do. It's basic, but basic is rare. And here's the compounding part. When you build a reputation for integrity, opportunities come to you. People recommend you for things you didn't apply for. They bring you into deals. They invest in your ideas. Why? Because they trust you won't waste their time or embarrass them. Your reputation is working for you 24/7 in conversations you're not even part of. Someone's in a meeting right now, and your name either comes up as the person who gets it done or doesn't come up at all. Which one are you? Here's your integrity check. Do you do what you say you'll do when you say you'll do it? Do you tell the truth even when it costs you something? Do you take responsibility when you mess up instead of making excuses? Would people describe you as reliable or just talented? Talent is common. Reliable talent is rare. Be rare. The internal game. Building the foundation. Now let's talk about why most people sabotage themselves even when they know all these rules. You can have every strategy I just gave you, but if your psychology is weak, you'll implode. I see it all the time. People get a little success and immediately self-destruct. You've got 3 internal enemies that are keeping you stuck right now. Enemy 1, the need for validation. Look at your last 5 decisions. Did you make them because they moved you forward, or did you make them because you wanted someone to say, "Good job"? The need for external validation is a leash, and the moment you put it on, you hand control to everyone else. Stop posting every win. Stop fishing for compliments. Stop checking the likes. The dopamine hit you get from validation is stealing the energy you need to actually accomplish the thing. The most dangerous players are the ones doing work in silence. They're not releasing the energy. They're compressing it. They're building internal pressure. When you keep your wins to yourself, you develop a sense of quiet confidence, not arrogance. Gravity. You walk into rooms knowing what you've done, knowing what you're capable of, and you don't need anyone to confirm it. That's power. Enemy 2, the fear of conflict. You're afraid of making people uncomfortable. You're afraid of being disliked, so you people please yourself into mediocrity. Here's the reality. If you want to change anything, your income, your situation, your industry, you're going to upset people. You're going to make people jealous. You're going to make people uncomfortable. If you're terrified of that, you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself just to stay safe in the herd. You need to develop the stomach for necessary conflict, not being a jerk, but being willing to make the hard call. If you fire an underperforming team member, you're the villain to them. You're the hero to everyone else who's been picking up their slack. If you stop going to the bar every weekend to build your business, you're too good for your friends now, or you're loyal to your future. Pick your loyalty. You can't save everyone, and trying to make everyone happy is just vanity disguised as kindness. Enemy 3, the I'll start Monday syndrome. There is no Monday. There is no right time. There is no perfect moment when all the conditions align. There is only now. The gap between thought and action is where dreams go to die. Most people have that gap measured in years. Someday I'll start that business. 10 years later, someday I'll start that business. The outlier shrinks that gap to 0. They think, I should do this, and then they do it. Today, right now. If you can eliminate the gap between idea and execution, you become unstoppable. While everyone else is planning, you're doing. While they're perfecting, you're finishing. The integration. Here's what we've covered. The 7 rules. Decisiveness doctrine. Move faster than everyone else's decision-making process. Information edge. Know what they don't know. Adaptability advantage. Be whoever the situation needs. Value monopoly. Become irreplaceable. Through excellence. Momentum multiplier. Stack wins into bigger wins. Strategic silence. Build in private. Launch in public. Integrity advantage. Your reputation compounds forever. The internal foundation. Kill the need for validation. Accept necessary conflict. Eliminate the gap between thought and action. When you combine these, you stop playing on hard mode. You stop waiting for permission. You stop standing in line hoping someone notices you. You realize the door was never locked. You were just too hesitant to open it. The real talk close. This isn't about being evil. This is about being effective. It's about respecting your potential enough to stop handicapping yourself with other people's rules. The world isn't sitting around waiting for you to succeed. The world is indifferent. It will grind you down if you let it. But if you apply these principles, if you become the person who moves fast, knows more, adapts constantly, builds real value, compounds momentum, operates strategically, and protects their reputation, the world doesn't just respect you, it makes space for you. Because the world always makes space for people who know exactly where they're going and have the skills to get there. Here's the warning though, when you start operating like this, you will change. The people around you will notice. Some of them won't like it. They'll say you've changed. They'll try to pull you back to who you were. This is the final test. Can you stand alone? Can you walk the path when everyone else is going the other way? Most people can't. The pressure to conform is massive. That's why the top is lonely, but the view is worth it. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to stop playing fair in a game where nobody else is? Are you ready to stop waiting for your turn while everyone else is cutting the line? Are you ready to build the unfair advantage? If you made it this far, you're not like most people. Most people clicked away in the first minute. Hit subscribe if you want more of this. No fluff, no motivation, just the actual mechanics of how this game works. And if you're serious about this, drop a comment below with one word: ready. I want to see who's actually going to do something with this information versus who's just consuming content to feel productive. Let's get it.